This is the Misfit Phase Hybrid Smartwatch, and it sure doesn't look like your typical connected wearable. With analog hands and no touchscreen display, maybe only its slightly thicker than average build will clue you into the fact that there's some extra smartphone functionality lurking under the surface here. What exactly can it do? Why might you prefer this over a typical smartwatch? I'm Stephen Shank with PhoneArena, answering those questions right now with my Misfit Phase Hybrid Smartwatch review. Wrist-borne wearables vary in complexity from simple activity trackers to full-blown smartwatches that are practically like having a tiny smartphone strapped to your wrist. And while we usually love to see as much functionality in our gadgets as possible, with wearables, sometimes it makes sense to make do with less, decreasing power and size requirements in the process. The Misfit Phase attempts to strike just such a balance, giving us a wearable that looks and feels a lot like a standard dumb watch while still offering some useful smartphone connectivity. The watch consists of a 41mm case built to withstand dust and water. Its face is dominated by two analog watch hands, and the only controls you'll find are a pair of push buttons on the phase's right side. There's not much to see around back either, with no heart rate monitoring optics or anything, just a stainless steel plate concealing the watch's battery. The face supports a variety of 20mm watch straps, connecting through an unusual hole and rivet system. That can make them a little difficult to get on in the first place, but they do stay secured well enough. The model we're looking at here includes a rubber sport band, and Misfit also sells ones with leather straps. If you're looking to mix things up later on, an alternate set of 3 straps will run you about $60. While the Misfit Phase may have the general layout of a pretty typical analog dumb watch, little details begin to give away its connected nature. For one, it's quite thick, measuring in around ½ an inch, and that makes it feel much more like a smartwatch than anything else. So what can this puppy actually do? Well, besides the obvious time-telling feature, the Misfit Phase can alert wearers to incoming notifications from their phones. The corresponding Misfit app lets you choose what you want relayed to the watch, notifications about calls, texts, and even those from assorted third-party apps. And when one hits the watch, you're notified with a gentle vibration. Well, that's great, but how do you tell them apart? Is that buzz on your wrist in regards to an incoming text, or someone favoriting your latest tweet? Instead of a battery-consuming display or a big bright notification LED, the Misfit Phase keeps its notification alerts extremely low-key. A multicolored disc concealed behind a window at the watch face's 6 o'clock spot turns to reveal a specific color for each notification event. You can customize what means what in the app, and then maybe get a yellow circle for a new email or a green circle for an incoming text. The app lets you take one thing further still and assign a watch hand position to individual contacts. Now, when you get an incoming phone call, you'll feel that vibration alert, see the color you've associated with calls, and watch as the phase's hands turn to point to a pre-configured spot on its face. Maybe 3 o'clock means your mom's calling, or 6 o'clock means it's your boss on the line. That's not a lot of info being conveyed, but it can be enough to tell you if notification is something you need to dig your phone out for right now, or maybe something you can check on a little later. And that's really the Misfit Phase to a T. It tries to offer some useful functionality while not being overbearing or fundamentally changing the way you use your phone. That said, there are some problems with the way notifications are handled. For one, they're really short, and you've only got about 3 seconds from the time you first feel that buzz to look at the notification color before it auto-clears. And there's no option to repeat the last notification. Miss it, and you've got to pull your phone out to check. And though we can appreciate the design decision to keep things looking very watch-like and avoiding bright multicolored notification LEDs, that also means that the Misfit Phase's usability takes a big hit in dimly lit environments. The shiny watch hands may still be visible, but that notification color gets really tricky to see real fast. Finally, we found the selection of apps able to send notifications through the Phase a little limited. On our test phone, we had it configured to receive text messages through the Google Voice app, but voice was not listed among the software able to communicate with the Phase. Beyond receiving notifications, you can also remotely control your phone with the Phase. The watch's bottom button is configurable to control music, slideshows, or your phone's camera through combinations of single and multiple presses. Your overall options are a bit limited, but the ability to fully customize which sequence of button presses do what is quite nice. The Misfit app on your phone serves both to help you configure the wearable, as well as review the fitness data it gathers. While the latter is a little basic, you still get step counts, sleep analysis, and calorie burn estimates. You can set goals for yourself and monitor your progress, and also share that data with other Misfit using friends commands through the software's social functions. In addition to setting up things like the notification options and that remote button we just mentioned, the app also lets you calibrate your watch. Now, this bit's a little weird. When you first get started with the phase, you may notice the hands indicating the wrong time. More than just needing to sync with your phone to get the current info, the phase has to manually have its hands calibrated for accurate use. It's a really queer, archaic-feeling step that detracts from the user experience. We also have to mention the puzzling Find My Phase feature. In theory, that sounds good, but all hitting the button does is make the watch's hands silently spin around once. There's no beeping or even vibration to help clue you into the watch's location, so unless you're looking right at the wearable, the function seems utterly useless. Putting those complaints aside, there is one area the phase really shines: battery life. The wearable is powered by a non-rechargeable lithium cell that can last for as long as 6 months at a time, and replacements only cost $1 or $2. That kind of endurance is extremely impressive and already has us forgiving the phase's limited feature set. But there's also a possible problem here, as you'll need a special tool to get the phase's back panel off in order to access the battery. The watch does ship with that tool, no problem there, but will you be able to find it when you need it in 6 months or another year down the line? A tool-free battery compartment would have been ideal, but this isn't a deal breaker either, just keep a close watch on that tool. The Misfit phase can be a great compromise if you want a smartwatch that's not particularly techy looking and you're okay with the more basic notification support it offers. Battery life is incredible, but we can't deny that the body's a little thick. The overall design is still attractive enough. Pricing starts at about $175, and while that's par for the course for hybrid connected watches like this, it does feel a little steep for the actual amount of functionality you're getting. At the very least, compare Misfit's offering against similarly equipped models from Skagen and Fossil before making up your mind. Thanks for watching. I'm Steven Shank with PhoneArena, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming videos from CES 2017.